Happy Easter, y'all. Today the saint we're learning about is Venerable Francis-Xavier, and he was actually born on April 17th, which is today, so I thought that was a really neat, but I really chose him because a friend shared him with me because he lived in isolation for a long period of time during his life, and so he obviously is someone that we can find encouragement, inspiration from, and ask for his prayers during this time. And so he was ordained a priest at the age of 25, and then in 1975 the North Vietnamese army took over, and so Francis Xavier was arrested because he was seen as an enemy of state. And so this meant that he was taken and forced to live in a re-education camp for 13 years, and 9 of those years he lived in solitary confinement. And so he obviously lived in isolation, but to an even greater extent than most of us are right now, hopefully more so than all of us are right now. But instead of being discouraged by this, he chose to see it as an opportunity to grow in greater communion with Christ. And so it was said that he covertly ordained priest, distributed communion to Catholic prisoners, and converted Buddhists and atheists who had been curious to know why he was so cheerful. And apparently there were guards that helped his friends, there were guards who smuggled in wood for him, and so he was able to build a cross. And then his friends, he would write to them and say, please send me my medication, and they would put wine and little pieces of bread in there, and so he would put droplets of the wine mixed with water in his hand and celebrate Mass. And apparently he became so effective at evangelizing that his jailers at the prison had to change all of their guards regularly because he was just evangelizing and they were having conversions, and so they had to change out their guards, which I just think is crazy cool. So after 13 years he was released and exiled, but Pope John Paul II welcomed him and actually made him part of the government for the Catholic Church, and so he lived there for the rest of his life, and he was just really known for his heroic virtues is what they describe them as, and it says that they just remember him as having just a gentle spirit and a great joy. And so he actually wrote 10 rules of life that I want to share sort of as our closing because they're really good. And so the first one is, I will live the present moment to the fullest. I will discern between God and God's works. I will hold firmly to one secret, prayer. I will see in the Holy Eucharist my only power. I will have only one wisdom, the science of the cross. I will remain faithful to my mission in the Church and for the Church as a witness of Jesus Christ. I will seek the peace the world cannot give. I will carry out a revolution by renewal in the Holy Spirit. I will speak one language and wear one uniform, charity. I will have one very special love, the Blessed Virgin Mary. I don't know about y'all, but I think that those are great rules of life to live by, and actually outside the commandments, obviously, I actually printed these out and have them on my prayer wall just to encourage me. And I think that we all can be encouraged not only by these rules, but also just by Francis Xavier's life. He was in isolation and could have just let that, get the best of him, but instead he chose to just continue to evangelize and lean into God. And he, like St. Paul, wrote letters from his prison, or we heard about all the other examples of him evangelizing. And so I think we need to think about what can we continue to do to be God's hands and feet, whether it's write people letters or make sure we're calling loved ones or donating to different charities that might be in need, or finding different ways that we can help our neighbors. There's so many ways that we can continue to be his hands and feet and evangelize and not just be stuck and discouraged because we're in isolation. And so I hope that y'all's hearts continue to be set on fire with love for the Lord, and that we can continue to find ways to be the Church to everyone around us. And we hope y'all have a blessed weekend. Thanks, everyone.